Number 10. I'm fine. When clearly stressed, we've all heard it, that quiet, tired, I'm fine. But beneath those two words often hides an entire storm. The voice cracks slightly, the smile feels rehearsed, and yet they insist they're fine. This small lie is the armor people wear when their soul is bleeding, but they're too proud, too scared, or too exhausted to explain the wound. It's a phrase born not out of peace, but out of fear. Fear of being seen as weak, fear of burdening others, or fear that vulnerability might make things worse. When someone says, I'm fine, they're not describing their state. They're pleading for space, or perhaps hoping you won't look too closely. It's an emotional camouflage, a way to stay in control when life feels uncontrollable. Inside, there's chaos, overthinking, self-doubt, panic. But outside, they keep a calm surface. Because in a world that glorifies strength, admitting stress feels like failure. This lie reveals a weakness that most people share: the inability to let go of the mask. It shows how society rewards composure over honesty. Many were taught that breaking down makes you a problem, not a person. So, I'm fine becomes the socially acceptable way of saying, I'm drowning, but I'll smile while I sink. The tragedy is that this lie stops help from reaching them. They push people away when they most need closeness. They choose silence over relief, and in doing so, deepen their isolation. But real strength isn't pretending everything's okay, it's daring to say, I'm not fine, and I need a moment. The next time someone says, I'm fine, listen beyond the words. Notice the tone, the eyes, the hesitation. Because sometimes, I'm fine is not a statement. It's a quiet confession that no one was meant to hear. Number 9. I'll do it tomorrow. Procrastination cover. I'll do it tomorrow. It sounds harmless, even responsible, a promise to the future self. But underneath those 5 words hides one of the most common lies people tell themselves: a quiet surrender disguised as planning. This phrase isn't about time management, it's about emotional avoidance. Because when someone says, I'll do it tomorrow, what they really mean is, I'm not ready to face it today. Procrastination isn't laziness. It's often fear wearing casual clothes. Fear of failing, fear of imperfection, fear of discovering that you're not as capable as you hope. So instead of confronting the task, the mind bargains with time. It buys comfort today by borrowing pain from tomorrow. That's why the tomorrow that never comes slowly becomes a pattern, an endless loop of delay, regret, and self-disappointment. People convince themselves they're waiting for the right mood or the right moment. But perfection is a mirage. The truth is, tomorrow feels safer because it's imaginary. Nothing can go wrong there. No mistakes, no judgment, no reality. It's the perfect place to store our postponed dreams. And so, entire goals, projects, and ambitions rot inside that single sentence, I'll do it tomorrow. But each delay steals a piece of self-trust. The more often we lie to ourselves, the less we believe our own promises. Confidence doesn't die in one big failure. It erodes through small postponements. Every skipped workout, every delayed call, every ignored dream silently whispers, you said you would, but you didn't. The cure isn't willpower, it's honesty. Saying, I'm scared to start is far stronger than saying, I'll do it tomorrow. Because once you confront the emotion behind the delay, tomorrow loses its illusion. In truth, there is no perfect day to begin. Only today, imperfect, messy, and real. So next time that thought appears, I'll do it tomorrow. Pause. Ask yourself, what am I really avoiding? Because most often, tomorrow isn't the plan, it's the escape. Number 8, I don't care. Masking deep insecurity. I don't care. Few phrases sound more indifferent, yet few hide as much pain. It's the armor of someone who once cared too much and got hurt for it. Beneath those 3 words often lies disappointment, fear of rejection, or the sting of feeling unseen. When people say, I don't care, they're not expressing detachment. They're building a wall to protect whatever's left of their pride. This lie begins early. Someone is mocked for showing emotion, scolded for being too sensitive, or ignored when they finally speak their truth. So they learn. Caring out loud is dangerous. The heart becomes guarded, expression turns into performance, and I don't care becomes a reflex to hide the tremor inside. It's easier to appear cold than risk being vulnerable again. But pretending not to care doesn't erase desire. It buries it. You still check the message, still replay the moment, still crave the validation you claim means nothing. That's the paradox of this lie. It's both a shield and a prison. In trying to protect the ego, you silence the soul. People use this phrase to avoid appearing weak. In love, in friendships, even at work. They fear that showing how much something matters will give others power over them. But in truth, indifference isn't strength, it's emotional paralysis. The more you say, I don't care, the less you allow yourself to feel, and the further you drift from authenticity. Real confidence isn't the absence of care, it's the courage to care and still risk pain. It's saying, yes, this matters to me. Yes, it hurt. And yes, I'll still move forward. Because apathy may look cool, but It's just fear wearing sunglasses. So when someone says, I don't care, don't believe the words. Read the silence. Behind that casual shrug often lies a heart that once cared too deeply and hasn't yet healed enough to admit it. Number 7. I'm just tired. Excuse for low energy. I'm just tired. It sounds ordinary, even harmless. But sometimes those words carry more than physical exhaustion. It's the perfect escape phrase, a socially accepted way to step back without explaining what's really wrong. Because tired can mean so much more than needing sleep. It can mean I'm emotionally drained, mentally overloaded, or quietly falling apart. When someone says they're tired every day, what they often mean is they're running out of reasons to keep pretending. It's not the body that's weary, it's the soul that's bruised. The pressure to appear fine, to keep performing, to hide disappointment, turns every day into a small battle. And saying I'm just tired becomes a coded message for, please, don't ask more of me right now. This phrase hides the burnout born from overthinking, people-pleasing, or living a life that constantly demands too much. It's a gentle, quiet rebellion, a way of saying I can't carry this anymore without causing alarm. The person might still go to work, still smile, still talk, but there's a fading spark in their voice, a slow-motion collapse behind the eyes. The danger of this lie is that it dulls awareness. Over time, people begin to believe it themselves. They stop questioning why they're tired, whether it's unhealed grief, suppressed anger, or the ache of a life that no longer feels aligned. Emotional exhaustion gets mislabeled as laziness, and genuine pain goes untreated because it hides behind a word everyone understands but no one questions. True rest doesn't come from sleeping longer, it comes from being honest about what's draining you. Sometimes you don't need a nap, you need permission to feel, to stop forcing yourself to be okay. So next time you hear, I'm just tired, pause. It might not mean fatigue. It might mean someone's spirit is whispering, I've been strong for too long. Number 6, I don't need help hiding vulnerability. There's a certain pride in those 4 words, I don't need help. They sound noble, independent, strong. But often they're spoken by someone quietly collapsing behind closed doors. People who say they don't need help usually learned the hard way that asking for it once cost them something: dignity, trust, or safety. Maybe they reached out and were met with silence. Maybe their pain became gossip. Maybe they learned that in this world the weak are not comforted, they're pitied. So they built walls and called them boundaries. They began to wear self-reliance like armor, confusing endurance with strength. But the truth is, I don't need help rarely means I'm fine. It means I've been disappointed too many times to risk asking again. It means I'll drown quietly before I let you watch me struggle. There's a loneliness that grows from constant self-sufficiency, the kind that turns survival into a habit, not a victory. People like this move through life as if their worth depends on carrying everything alone. Pain, guilt, work, memories, as if letting go would make them disappear. They forget that independence without connection isn't freedom, it's exile. Admitting you need help is not weakness, it's humility, the most courageous kind. It says, I cannot be everything all the time. It allows someone else to witness your humanity without shame. So when someone insists, I don't need help, don't admire their strength too quickly. Look closer. You might see trembling hands holding a collapsing world, held together only by the fear of being seen, needing anyone. Because sometimes the strongest people aren't the ones who stand alone. They're the ones who finally whisper, please, stay. I can't do this by myself anymore. Number 5. It's not a big deal. When it really is. It's not a big deal, but it always is. You can hear it in the way their voice tightens at the edges, the way they look away just a second too long. That sentence is the polite funeral of an emotion, buried before anyone else notices it existed. People say it to downplay the very things that haunt them at night. A friend's careless comment, a broken promise, an overlooked effort, all dismissed with a forced smile and those 6 words. It's a ritual of emotional self-erasure, learned from years of being told you're overreacting. Don't make it a scene, just move on. So now they minimize their own pain before anyone else can. The truth is, every not a big deal is a small act of betrayal against the self. It's the mind protecting pride, while the heart quietly bleeds underneath. It's a lie that keeps peace on the surface but rots authenticity within. Because when you pretend something doesn't hurt, you don't actually heal. You just delay the collapse. Sometimes it's not the grand betrayals that break people. It's the constant dismissal of the small ones. The moments they told themselves it's fine, when it wasn't. The times they stayed silent to avoid being labeled dramatic. The way they smiled through disrespect and called it maturity. But unspoken pain doesn't vanish. It crystallizes. It shows up later as coldness, detachment, or sudden bursts of anger that feel disproportionate. That's the emotional debt of every not a big deal. Pain deferred with interest. There's quiet power in saying, actually, it did hurt. It did matter. Because that's how you reclaim pieces of yourself you've been gaslighting into silence. So the next time those words rise to your lips, it's not a big deal. Pause. Ask yourself who you're protecting, your peace or your fear of conflict. because sometimes pretending it doesn't matter is the very reason it keeps hurting. Number 4, I forgot instead of admitting disinterest. I forgot. 2 words that sound innocent but often hide an uncomfortable truth. I didn't care enough to remember. It's not always about memory. It's about priority. The mind forgets what the heart never valued. When someone forgets to reply, to call back, to show up, it isn't because time slipped away, it's because you did. Yet instead of saying, I didn't want to, they soften it to, I forgot. A small, polite deceit meant to protect their image and sometimes your feelings. But the psychology runs deeper. I forgot is the socially acceptable way to express disinterest without confrontation. It shields guilt. It allows a person to neglect a commitment while keeping the illusion of being good, busy, or simply human. It's a lie coated in relatability. Everyone forgets things. That's what makes it believable. Still, it's rarely about carelessness. It's about avoidance. People forget things that make them anxious, guilty, or emotionally burdened. They forget the tasks that remind them of something unresolved within themselves. A call to a parent, an apology owed, a dream deferred. These aren't lost to memory. They're exiled by discomfort. And this habit erodes integrity in quiet doses. Each I forgot is a fracture in trust, a tiny rewriting of history. When repeated, it teaches the mind that neglect has no consequence, that truth can be edited for convenience. But honesty, even when it stings, liberates. Saying, I didn't want to is raw, but it's real. It opens the door to reflection. Why didn't you? What emotion were you escaping? Disinterest, fear, resentment, fatigue, all are human. Denying them only keeps you half alive. So the next time you hear, I forgot, listen to the silence beneath it. It might be memory's failure, or it might be a quiet confession of indifference, too fragile to speak aloud. Because sometimes forgetting isn't the absence of memory, it's the presence of avoidance. Number 3, I'm busy. To avoid uncomfortable tasks. I'm busy, a phrase that sounds productive but often hides something far more human. Avoidance. It's the modern shield we all carry, the perfect excuse that makes withdrawal look respectable. To say I'm busy is to say, I don't want to face this right now, and I need a reason that sounds noble. We live in an age that worships busyness. The more overwhelmed you are, the more valuable you appear. So people learn to hide behind their calendars, to treat exhaustion like achievement and neglect like necessity. But beneath the packed schedules and unread messages often lies a deeper truth. We're not always busy with tasks. We're busy running from discomfort. When someone says, I'm busy, it's rarely because every moment is filled. It's often because they don't want to sit in silence, to confront that one hard conversation, that one emotion they've been avoiding. Busyness becomes emotional camouflage, motion without meaning. You fill the hours so you don't have to feel the hollowness that waits in the quiet. The tragedy is, I'm busy, distances us not just from others, but from ourselves. We cancel dinners, postpone dreams, ignore reflection, all in the name of too much to do. But what we truly lack isn't time, it's courage. The courage to say, I'm scared of stillness. I'm afraid of what I'll think when I stop. Busyness gives identity. It makes you feel important, needed, relevant. But constant motion is a kind of sedation, a socially approved distraction from inner chaos. The clock ticks, the inbox fills, the heart stays unanswered. If you stripped away the noise and truly asked, what am I busy avoiding? The answers might terrify you. Loneliness, guilt, change, the truth that some of the things we chase aren't worth catching. So the next time you say, I'm busy, ask yourself, am I really occupied or just hiding? Because sometimes the most dangerous kind of distraction is the one that looks like discipline. Number 2, I'll quit anytime denial of bad habits. I'll quit anytime. It's the sound of someone tightening their own chains and calling it freedom. A small, stubborn sentence. Quiet, defensive, trembling with false confidence. It starts as control. You tell yourself you can stop. Tomorrow, next week, when things calm down. You believe it. You need to believe it. Because the truth that something else already owns you is too humiliating to face. So you build a lie sturdy enough to live inside. I'll quit any time is not a promise. It's a prayer, a whispered bargain between your guilt and your comfort. You repeat it every time the habit wins. The smoke, the scroll, the drink, the person. You whisper it like an antidote, but it's just anesthesia. The mind creates stories to protect its illusions. You're just stressed, everyone does it. You'll stop when you want, but want becomes another word for never. The habit burrows deeper, reshaping your rhythms, stealing minutes, disguising itself as relief, and you call it choice, because admitting it's not would unravel the self-image you've built. Denial is elegant that way. It dresses up dependence in the language of control. You post about balance, tell friends you're cutting back, joke about it, just enough truth to keep the lie believable. But at night, when no one's watching, the hand moves before thought. The pattern repeats before permission. The habit runs the show, and you just clean up after it. "I'll quit anytime" is never said by someone ready to quit. It's said by someone terrified they can't. And the only real freedom begins the moment you stop pretending you still have it. Because the hardest addiction to break is not the substance, not the behavior. It's the illusion of control. Number 1, I'm happy for you with hidden jealousy. I'm happy for you. It sounds warm, supportive, mature. But sometimes the smile arrives a fraction too late. The tone dips ever so slightly. And behind those words hides a shadow. Jealousy wearing the mask of grace. Envy is an emotion no one wants to admit to. It feels small, shameful, unspiritual. So we bury it under politeness, under congratulatory messages and emoji reactions. We tell ourselves we're above comparison, yet deep down something aches. Not because they won, but because we didn't. It's a quiet, corrosive emotion. You scroll past someone's success and feel that split second of tightness in your chest. The mind whispers, "Why not me?" You hate yourself for feeling it, so you rush to say the right words. "I'm happy for you," hoping the performance will make the jealousy disappear. But pretending to be over it doesn't free you from it. It just buries it deeper, where it festers. Jealousy reveals where your unlived dreams hide. It points to the parts of you that are starving. Every time you envy someone's light, it's your own dimmed potential trying to speak. You don't actually want what they have. You want the version of yourself that you once believed you could be. So the next time your heart clenches when someone succeeds, don't rush to silence it with fake positivity. Listen, that discomfort is a map, a signal showing you where you've stopped growing. True maturity isn't pretending to feel pure happiness. It's acknowledging the envy, tracing its roots, and transforming it into admiration. Because if you deny it, it controls you. But if you face it, it teaches you. So when you say, "I'm happy for you," mean it fully, not as performance, but as proof that your self-worth no longer depends on comparison. That you've learned the rare art of celebrating others without dimming yourself. And maybe then, those 4 words will finally be true.